Hi, Exploring Introverts. Welcome to our monthly update. Hi, I'm Mariella, personal pillar habit expert for introverts. At the age of 18, I immigrated from South America to Europe and built a life for myself here. Now I teach introverts how to get more energy and fulfillment from their career without overwhelm, exhaustion, or pretending to be someone they're not. I'm a former molecular biologist and writer. I'm a mom, and I'm also an introvert. In this podcast, we talk about introvert strengths, habits, energy and time management, and how to live a happier and healthier life as an introvert. In today's chapter, we're talking specifically about cross-cultural introverts. What's a cross-cultural introvert? So cross-cultural is when you navigate multiple cultures. A cross-cultural introvert is an introvert who moves between cultures, whether you're working abroad or you're bringing your multicultural perspective to your work or your professional role. What's unique about cross-cultural introverts is that you need to balance your natural introverted character with the demands of navigating multiple cultural contexts. I recently had a typical cross-cultural experience. I grew up in Suriname in South America, and I migrated to the Netherlands in Europe when I was 18. And last month, I visited my parents, and I was sitting in front of a fan. I was just blowing wind in my face because it was 30 degrees Celsius, which is how much in Fahrenheit? Just Googling that, which is 86, so almost in the 90s. Fahrenheit, and it hit me. I am always going to be this mix of cultures. You see, I know a lot of cross-cultural introverts who struggle with belonging to one or the other culture. And people used to ask me, do you feel more at home in Suriname or in the Netherlands? The answer ultimately is neither. And although this sounds a little bit depressing, it's actually quite amazing. I've known for a long time that I'm not really Surinamese anymore. I was born and raised there, and nothing will ever change that. I mean, growing up there was amazing, and I'm still in awe about the cultural diversity every time I visit, and the warmth of the people there. But when I go back, I don't truly feel like a local anymore. And even my mother at one point said to me that you are very Dutch. Like in certain ways, she thinks that I'm very Dutch. And when I first moved to the Netherlands, I tried to fit in here, right? That's what you do when you move abroad. When I still worked in office, and even now as I'm finding my way as a parent, interacting with other parents. And it's good. You find overlap, you find commonalities. But I will never truly be a local here either, because I didn't grow up with the same customs and the childhood experiences. And that's becoming more and more clear to me as I'm raising my son, who is now 5, and he is having the local childhood experiences that I never had. When you're in between cultures like that, it's normal to feel a little out of place. A lot of introverts I know have a similar experience when it comes to being an introvert. You feel slightly out of place because let's face it, the world is still very much geared towards extroverts, especially in Western cultures. And a lot of introverts are told that they need to change themselves in order to be accepted or appreciated or to be successful. What does this have to do with energy management? As a cross-cultural introvert, you may need to manage your energy differently than most. The biggest challenge is getting enough mental recharge. So this is challenging for introverts already in a world that, encourages you to always be available through our smartphones, and that is so noisy, both on and offline, mostly online, that you're constantly overstimulated. And it can lead to tiredness, overthinking, and starting to doubt yourself all the time. For cross-cultural introverts, it's even more delicate because you're processing and adapting to different cultural environments while managing your natural introvert needs. And the need for reflection, mental recharge, it becomes even more crucial, but also more challenging. And the traditional advice to be more outgoing or show yourself more is geared more towards extroverts, and it often leads to exhaustion and a disconnect from your natural strengths. And this is one of the reasons why a lot of introverts think that they're just low energy people. And I actually believed that for a very long time about myself. I would make disclaimers to people. No, I can't stay because I'm just a low energy person, you know. And it took a very long time. It wasn't until very much later that I realized that this is actually not true. And I talk more about that in another episode that I'll link in the show notes. Introverts are not low energy. We just have different energy needs. We need different types of rest. And sleep alone isn't enough to fully recharge most introverts. You also need decompression and quiet time. This is where personal pillar habits come in. So the biggest issues that introverts face are exhaustion and overthinking. So you've probably tried to build routines to help with that, right? Maybe you've tried planning things in your calendar. So that you don't have to think about what's the next thing to do. Or maybe you tried having a really strict morning routine to get yourself started for the day. Or maybe you have heard that an early wake up is the way to go. So there's this trend, this hype of 5 a.m., even 4 a.m. wake ups to help, get that structure, get that early start and that leg up. I don't know exactly on who, but this, you're winning. I don't know what race. But the problem is these habits aren't always a fit. And you end up like forcing yourself to stick to it, which leads to more exhaustion and beating yourself up for not being able to stick to your healthy habits. I'll be the last to say that planning things in a calendar doesn't work. Obviously it works, right? It helps you to not forget things. But planning everything in your calendar or being very strict about planning things in your calendar, it doesn't work for everyone. In fact, planning everything in their calendar can actually stress some people out. It stifles their creativity and it ultimately keeps them from making progress and it keeps them from making progress and it keeps them stuck. Whether or not something is a good strategy for you depends on your habit style and your natural advantage. And those two things are the cornerstones of my custom coaching program, where I help introverts discover their natural advantage, kind of your natural blueprint to thrive. When you know your blueprint, you can easily create personal pillar habits. And those are habits that feel easy to do and they're sustainable. They last without having to force yourself because they're authentic to you. Personal pillar habits are different for everyone and they're not always what you'd expect. But every one of us only usually has a handful, it's usually 5 or less personal pillar habits. And if you focus on just those few things, you get into flow easily, you get more done in the same time, which leads to having more time left over, having more energy at the end of the day, and feeling more confident in yourself. Now, it can be hard to discover what your personal pillar habits are at first. Usually we're a little bit blind to when it comes to our own strengths, right? I had no idea until I discovered my natural advantage with the help of a coach. You may know your competences. You probably know what you're good at. Maybe you've done Strength Finder or looked at your Ikigai, but it still feels like something's missing, like the puzzle pieces don't quite match up. What could be missing is your natural advantage, the centerpiece of who you are and of your personal pillar habit roadmap. When you're a cross-cultural introvert, it becomes even harder to hear your own voice above all the noise. And the cultural expectations from the outside world or worlds that you live in. That's why I decided that I'm going to host a series of taster sessions called Habit Building Basics, especially for cross-cultural introverts. So the past month, I was off for 2 weeks, and I spent most of that time in Suriname hanging out with my family and reconnecting with some old friends. I couldn't catch up with all of them. If you live abroad, you probably know, you'll probably recognize that. You try to visit as many people as possible, but the time is almost always too short to see them all. So if you happen to watch this and we know each other from Sue and we couldn't connect the last time I was there, please reach out to me and we'll get together next time I visit. So that was the first 2 weeks of the month, or not the first two, just, I don't know. It was 2 weeks. And the rest of the time, I've been ironing out the details of the Habit Building Basics Taster. I'm really excited about this. It's been a while since I've done taster sessions, and I love the short, focused format, so I'm looking forward to it. What's it about? Habit Building Basics is especially for cross-cultural introverts. We'll explore what to focus on as an introvert who moves between cultures so that you can manage your energy well and feel confident in who you are. We'll talk about why it's important to tune into your self-reflective nature and your natural way of working as an introvert, especially if you move between cultures. We'll talk about the science of habit building and how to use it to confidently learn new habits and break old ones, how pillar habits can help you to get the most out of your time and energy and stay authentic to who you are. Now with things in the world shifting the way they are, and everything feeling upside down at the moment, this is relevant more than ever. What exactly is a taster? Taster sessions are short focus sessions of 15 minutes each, 15. So they're super short. There is additional time for questions afterwards if you have any, and they are interactive. So you do have the option to ask questions right there, and there will also be a short exercise included each day to help you rethink your habits. But, most of us who will be there are introverts, and so am I. And I know like no other what it feels like to feel like a deer in the headlights. So I always try to make my trainings as introvert friendly as possible. There's no pressure to do any of this live. So you can choose to join me live on the sessions, or you can watch the recording at a later time that's convenient for you. If you choose to join me live, you can ask me questions directly, or you can send me an email afterwards. You can also choose to participate in the exercise with me directly. I will be sharing that on the during the session, but you can also make the exercise in your own time after the session. As a bonus, everyone who sends me their answers to the exercises gets a 20-minute personal focus session with me worth 150 euros for free. All you have to do is write down your answers to all 5 of the exercises. They can be super short. We don't need essays, okay? Just your first thoughts. And send me your answers before the deadline, which is 1 week after the last taster session. So you have some time. Mark your calendar for June 9 to 13. Habit Building Basics for Cross-Cultural Introverts Taster Sessions. 5 days, 5 topics, 15 minutes a day. You can sign up for Habit Building Basics through the link in the show notes. I will leave it there for you. This taster could easily be a mini course with the 5 days of focused sessions. You can get access to all 5 days of Habit Building Basics, including all the recordings and the exercises for an affordable price right now. And don't forget that you have the opportunity to get a 20-minute personal focus sessions with me worth 150 euros if you send me your answers to the exercises that are included in each session. After the taster, you'll have new insights about habits, that you can apply in different areas of your life, and you'll know what to focus on as an introvert who moves between cultures so that you can manage your energy well and feel confident in who you are, no matter how circumstances change. In the personal focus session, we'll build on what you learned in the tasters and talk about your personal situation and how to use the insights from the taster in your situation. Click on the link in the show notes for more information. All right, let's do a recap. In today's chapter, we talked about the misconception that introverts are low energy people. You are not low energy. You just have different energy needs, and you need different types of rest and recharge time on top of sleep. And this is even more important if you're a cross-cultural introvert who navigates multiple cultures, either personally or professionally. A common mistake is that we learn habits that don't match with our natural style. It's either geared towards extroverts, or it doesn't take into account your habit style, your natural advantage, or that you're dealing with a mix of cultural expectations. The key is to work with your habit style and your natural advantage instead of against it. And in this way, you can confidently build personal pillar habits, just a handful of habits that are authentic to you and at a frequency that's sustainable and impactful at the same time. So if you're interested to deep dive into this topic with me, I'm offering the 5-day taster sessions. Click on the link in the show notes for more info. If you want to learn more about topics like how to get proper mental rest, guilt-free time management, and how to find calm, focused direction as an introvert, then follow or subscribe for monthly updates every first Thursday. Thank you for hanging out with me today, and I will see you next time. Bye.